let's talk about how to go from UNP3 to UND1 level within, or maybe even more, without the system, right? Outside of the system, is this even possible? And if it is possible, how it is possible? So, yesterday I wrote a long post on my social media about how I have decided to promote myself to D1 level this year. And the reason why I wanted to do this, and also I wanted to share more about what I'm talking about, especially doing this outside of the UN system, is because I see a lot of humanitarians who have built their whole careers around arriving at P5 level, D1 level, D2, D3 level, and they have sacrificed a lot to get there where they wanted because they believed that this is the way to make impact in the organization, using the organization's resources to serve the people that they want to. And as the funding crisis has unfolded since last year, that career progression for many people have become so uncertain to a point that they're not even sure if this is going to happen, even if the structure and the system exist, but the opportunity of getting to that level of impact is no longer possible. And they're feeling now what to do about it. Meaning, if you have built your whole life around wanting to arrive and achieve a certain level of impact and success, and that no longer exists in the way that you expected it to, whether it's by merit or whether it is by doing certain accomplishments. And then what do you do, right? So, in those moments, and for those clients who are listening, I thought, how can we do the same level of impact or more and get the same level of salary doing things outside of the system if within the system is not possible anymore, or it is almost impossible to do? And many of my clients, including, probably have never even thought of how that's possible, right? And because of my journey of transitioning and doing things that I love, working on the impact that I love, and making the money that I love, I have been able to replicate my P3 salary. And at the time, I was thinking, okay, if we can do this outside of the system, getting to the level of success that we want to, doing the work that we want to, then why not do that at UND1 level as well? So, if you want to apply this to your situation, this is how I'm proposing is that you first look at what did you think you would achieve or you would get by arriving at UND1 level. Is this the power that you wanted? Is this the impact that you wanted? Or maybe you wanted to use the power to create the impact you wanted. And if you wanted that impact, then for whom and how you would know that you have that impact. And then, obviously, in terms of the tangibles, you will know how much money you will be making if you did get the D1 position, and what level of importance and what level of authority and leadership you will have to be doing that job. And whatever that after, right, we're looking before and after picture, whatever the after picture that you can imagine, by having the D1 level promotion, you will have XYZ, whether it's in terms of impact, in terms of power, importance, in terms of salary. All of this, as the more you get clear on how that would look like, then we start figuring out how to do this outside of the system. So if you feel you are not able to do that within the system anymore, or you cannot hope for it anymore, or you maybe even have almost arrived, but then because of the restructuring, you were let go, or you decided to go on retirement, and now you still want to do that level of impact, that level of work, and that level of money, then how could we get you to doing that? And in order for uh, my clients to see examples of how this can be done, I have decided to walk the talk myself. And I'm actually not worried that I'm going to do that, meaning I'm going to create the level of impact and salary. That's not really the like, it doesn't sound impossible. It's absolutely possible. I'm going to do that. But I thought, how could I do it in my own way? Because I'm not really interested in the power as such, meaning power of like managing departments, offices, regions. I don't really want that power because I've never been interested in that power. So therefore, I thought, okay, what is it that is important for me? When I have done it, then I know that I have promoted myself to D1 position, right? And I came back to only one requirement, which is the most tangible impact of about 1,000 people. So if I can demonstrate how I was able to help 1,000 people, 1,000 humanitarians this year to have changed their lives to the better, to have transitioned to the life they want to live. And if I can show that this is possible, then I have decided that will be an indicator of me um, promoting myself to D1, right? And this brings me to another topic that is very important for everyone who's watching and listening to this to really look at how we have been conditioned by the system in ways that we may not even be able to imagine how we're able to do the impact outside of the system, because that's what the system conditions us to do, to believe that nothing is possible or stable, or we can't really do it unless XYZ, and that all of those fears will keep us inside the system or keep us wanting to cling on to the system when we really know that that's no longer possible. In which case, my advocacy and my goal here is, by sharing not only that this is possible, I'm wanting us to look at how we can make that happen. If you're really interested in the impact that you really say you are interested, right? And if you know what that impact should look like, whether you get the D1 in the organization or you decide to create that reality for yourself outside of the organization, outside of the system, then obviously we need to look at what that impact looks like and how we can go and do that with the people that we want to. And if you believe that beyond impact, there are other things that are important, whether this is a power, whether this is certain other topics that you have in mind, again, can we do that outside of the system instead of keep feeling like we are not able to do anything outside of the system, um, keep feeling addicted or dependent on the system, and keep clinging on to and hoping that it will somehow get us back, right? So therefore, as I have done this work of um, walking the talk, being in integrity with what I'm coaching, right? So, in other words, I have always coached people on things that I have done myself and I have tested this out myself. And I want to do the same thing for this endeavor of how we are now living in a world where if you decide to promote yourself to the level that you want to, outside of the system, doing what you love, and making the impact that you want to, it is absolutely possible. The only reason why it wouldn't be possible is if we keep allowing our fears dictate how this is a bullshit story, how who's doing that, who am I kidding? Um, maybe only if you can do it, I can do it. Whatever those stories that we keep listening to, those are the stories that will stop us from making this a reality. And all of those disbelief, resistance, cynical remarks, even feeling like it's not even possible. If I couldn't do this in the system, why would I be magically able to do it outside of the system? All of these objections are coachable. And I coach my clients on these all the time. But the reason why I'm saying this is that if we're not really looking at how honestly to make the impact that is genuine, that is, we can it really showcase instead of telling and justifying and explaining all the way and all of this. If we're genuinely able to create the impact that we are hoping to create in the world, the money is coming. And if we really say that it is not about the power, it's not about the titles, it's not about this, but it's about the impact, then this is one of the greatest way I know how to go to create a condition or situation where you are promoting yourself to the level that you want to by showcasing your impact and also making the salary you want to. And I have been talking in the past about living a contract-free life, right? So I talk a lot about emotional freedom, financial freedom, freedom that allows us not no longer be a victim to emotions, to decisions, to money, to our circumstances, to decisions. And if we are no longer wanting to be victim to those things, and if we want that inner freedom, then that inner freedom also allows us to be making the impact outside of the system in the way that we believe is the right thing to do. So that is an alternative that many people who are in this situation that I have described can seriously think about it. And if you're not able to think about it, that means that your mind have been so conditioned by the system that it doesn't even allow you to see other possibilities. And that's okay because if we have spent 10, 20 years, 30 years in the system doing the same thing in the way that we know how, obviously our brain has been so programmed to serve the system. But if we're not wanting to do that, or if we can't do that anymore, then we need to start exploring alternatives as to if the impact and the money we're after to maintain our lifestyle, but also keep working on the things that we want to, then we may need to get serious and committed about how we're going to do that. And most importantly, how we're going to create conditions where we keep promoting ourselves the way we want to without any contracts, without any restrictions, without any frameworks from the system. And my purpose is to be able to do this in my own life, with my own work, with my clients that I love serving. I would like to demonstrate this myself, and then I would like to support as many humanitarians as possible to create this type of alternatives for themselves where they say, okay, whatever the thing that I wanted to do inside the system, by having that title, by having that position, what if I can do it outside? And if so, how will I do that? What is the impact I'm looking for? Who this impact is for? And how do I get this impact created, whether alone or with other people? And then start working on it. So, my dears, so this is my story of how I have decided to promote myself from UNP3 to D1, I'm calling it. Even though, as I said, the titles are not important, but what I'm really curious as to how and in what ways we can create the impact we want to, whether we have the title within the system or we have decided to give ourselves that title because that makes us feel better, or that makes us feel accountable to a certain level of responsibility. Maybe that makes us feel finally we are living up to what we have always working towards, only now without the system. And the best part I find is that all of this work can be done without any politics, without any games, without any restrictions of the system, without any job contracts. As you decide, this is how you would like to do it, this is how it's going to go. So, if you're ready to do this, I would love for you to do this with me. Are you in? Okay. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon.